right, so good evening, everybody. Sorry, I've been attacked by tape, pardon me. Good evening. My name is Jeb Penny, and I'm an advisor to the Public Service Commission. I'm here to give a presentation on the area code exhaustion for the 502 area code, as well as take any questions on some of the proposed alternatives. And in just a second, I'll have a little presentation brought up. Here we go. So, just a little bit about the Public Service Commission. Independent regulatory agency, regulate most of the utilities in the state, which is about 1,100 jurisdictional utilities. A lot of them are water and sewer, the smaller ones, electric cooperatives, electric investor-owned, natural gas distribution, telecommunications. We don't regulate cities, city utilities, or those that purchase power from the TVA. So, why are we here? We are here because the Commission has been informed about the imminent exhaustion of the 502 area code. More specifically, on October 15th of 2024, the North American Numbering Plan Administrator, the NAMPA, filed an application notifying the Commission that the 502 area code was going to run out of phone numbers by the end of third quarter of 2027. Now, the NAMPA is the neutral third-party administrator of phone numbers in many portions of North America, and it does so and it operates under the contract with the Federal Communications Commission. So by law, they're the entity that will assign phone numbers, that will monitor the phone numbers to make and alert the relevant regulatory authorities when phone numbers are about to exhaust. So in this application, the NAMPA presented the Commission with 5 alternatives from which the Commission can choose to alleviate the exhaustion of the phone numbers, and the NAMPA has requested a decision no later than July 31st, 2025. So depending upon which alternative the Commission decides to implement, the NAMPA and the telecommunications providers will have ample time to implement those alternatives by the third quarter of 2027, which is the projected exhaust date for 502. So prior to filing the application, the NAMPA had a series of meetings with telephone companies as well as with Commission staff, culminating in these 5 options. Now you can view this application on our website, psc.ky.gov, and it's docketed as case number 2024-00333. So here's a map of the current area codes in Kentucky. The green is the 606, orange is 859, the light blue is 270, and that should actually say 270/364, because in 2014, the Commission, at the request of the NAMPA, who had told the Commission that there was going to be an exhaustion of phone numbers in the 270, ordered a new area code, and they ordered an overlay, meaning there was no geographic change of the 270, but then when the 270 area codes would run out, the next numbers assigned would be start with the 364 area code. So these are the geographic boundaries of the current area codes in Kentucky. This is a slightly more detailed look of the 502 area code territory. You can see it follows mainly county boundaries, but not exactly. So the first option that was presented to the Public Service Commission is the all services distributed overlay of the 502 area code, the new overlay area code. This is simply what we refer to as the overlay option. And this is the same thing that the Commission implemented in the 270 area code. So what it means is the new area code will be assigned to the same geographic area as the 502 area code. Numbers with the new area code would be assigned once all 502 numbers had been allocated. 10-digit dialing would be mandatory within this area. 10-digit dialing is already mandatory within the 859 area code, as well as the 270 and 364. And this is the recommended option from the NAMPA and the majority of the telecommunications providers. And it's the same solution, like I said, that the Commission approved the last time there was a split. or not, sorry, last time there was a number exhaustion. And this is the recommended option because it impacts the fewest amount of customers than the other relief alternatives. And we'll get into those later on. It's easier for the service providers to implement for, you know, changing over their systems and the translations. I'm a lawyer, I'm not an engineer, but there's lots of things that have to go on when you have a new area code. It avoids or limits customer confusion and the additional work that's required if some of the other options are implemented. And once implemented, the projected exhaust date will not be for another 30 years. Well, I've lost. Hold on here. Something has occurred. Jim?
Hey.
Bear with us for a second, I apologize. So anyway, any questions about the first option while we're trying to get this thing up and about? Bill? Yes, ma'am, you came in a little bit late, but...
Do you have maps up there of what each option would look like geographically, like on a map of Kentucky?
We're fixing to get to that. We haven't got to that portion yet, so you haven't missed the other options of what it would mean for the map.
Okay.
So, as soon as we look what we just started, wait, don't change a thing.
So who are these people that dial 10 numbers? I've had a cell phone exclusively for I don't know how many years. I've always dialed 10, or I just go to the phone book and dial that number. Who's still dialing 7 numbers?
I am.
Are you? Is that from a landline or?
No, it's a cell phone for local numbers.
I guess, and there's your answer. My mother on her landline and the 502 will do the same thing. So, anyway, well, back to it. We'll start back. Here's the map as it is now. I think you may have come in right after we looked at the map. This is available on our website. So, green is the 606, orange is the 859, yellow is the 502, and light blue is 270, and also 364, which is the new area code number that will be assigned. I think the original area code for Kentucky was 502. In 1955, it was split between 502 and 606. 98, 270 was carved off. 98, 99 time, 270 was carved off from the 502. And then in 99, 2000, the 859 was carved out of the 606. So that's how we got to these current maps right now. And this is the current 502 with a better idea of it. Almost follows the county lines. And then we talked about the option. Okay, so here comes option number 2. And this presentation will be available on our website, as well as this will be the conversation tonight. It will be available on our YouTube channel too. The second option is the geographic split. And here the NAMPA has split the 502 into 2 separate geographic areas. Nobody suggests this as the alternative, but it is an alternative nonetheless that is presented to the Public Service Commission to consider. You would retain 7-digit dialing within your calling area of the split. So if you are in the 502, the report that gets to keep 502, you get to keep 7-digit dialing to make phone calls within the 502. You're in the other area code, whatever it is, you get to do 7-digit dialing within that area code. But if you're in the new area code and want to call the 502, that's 10-digit dialing, because you'd be calling into a different area code. And we're going to see a map in a second, but the projected life of the resulting splits would be 33 in area code A, 30 years in the area B. But the last area code geographic split in the United States was in 2007. That was in New Mexico. After that, other options have been implemented. So this is how the NAMPA has split up the 502 area code. Right here, you can see the red line. You've got mainly the counties that touch the Ohio River are in Area A, and the rest are in Area B. So there's no recommendation of which one gets to keep the 502 and which area would get the new area code. In the past, when there has been a split, that is something that's at the discretion of the Public Service Commission. Now, I've given this presentation more than a few times, and I don't talk about it. It's not really seen in the sense of winners and there's losers, but there's an old song by the band called Atlantic City, and there's just, the line goes, there's winners and there's losers, and you're south of the line. And so somebody gets to keep 502 in this scenario. Somebody who has 502 numbers is going to have to change their area code if this is the option that the commission goes with. So the third option that's been presented to the Public Service Commission is to eliminate the boundary between the 270 and the 502 area codes. So what this would mean is that the 502 or 270 or 364 area codes would be available. If you're coming into what is now the 502, if there's a 502 number available, you could get that 502. Or you could request a 270 or 364 phone number. In this option, 10-digit dialing would be mandatory. All right? So right now, the 270-364 area code is set to exhaust in 2080, but if you combine all of these, it would be, the exhaust date would be 2044. And this is what that area code section would look like. So like I said, you get 502 if you wanted it. As soon as they run out of 502, you get 270 or 364. It's based on availability. So if you have your 502 area code number already, you keep it. It would just be new people getting new numbers in this territory. But once again, 10-digit dialing would be mandatory. The fourth option is going to be a lot like the fifth option. So the fourth option would eliminate the boundaries between all area codes, right? So that you would have, if you're in the 502, what is known as the 502 area code, you're getting a new number, 502 is available, you can have that. You can have 859, you can have 606, you can have 270, you can have 364, depending upon availability. Under this scenario, 10-digit dialing would be mandatory across all the areas. So, like I said, 859 and 270 already have mandatory 10-digit dialing. This means that if you lived in the former 502 geographic area, mandatory 10-digit dialing. If you lived in what had been the 606 territory, mandatory 10-digit dialing as well. This changes some of the exhaust dates for the existing numbers, but despite presenting this as an option, the NAMPA informs the Commission this is not a viable option because the resulting exhaustion date from all of these is 14 years. And under the relevant federal rules, any alternative that is implemented has to provide relief from exhaustion for at least 15 years. So, option 5 would do the exact same thing. Eliminate the boundaries to mandatory 10-digit dialing statewide, phone number, area codes assigned as available, and would also at the same time have a new area code overlay to overlay across the entire state that would be available once the other numbers are exhausted. This would result in, I think, a exhaust date of over 30 years, way past the horizon of that. But those are the 5 options. So, what's next? Well, as I told you, the NAMPA wants an order by July 31st, 2025. And at the conclusion of the public meetings, of which this is the last, the Commission will consider the applications, the evidence, the public comments that have been written, and the public comments we've received at the public meetings, and will issue that option, adopting one of the proposed options no later than July 31st. And of course, after which, different timelines would apply, depends upon which option the commission orders. So I pull up here for for an example, option one, the overlay, the one where the 502 area code still stays within that territory, and if you have a 502 area code, you retain it. Just new numbers, once 502 is exhausted, we'll have a new area code. Is a 13-month implementation period time. So assuming the commission issues an order on July 30th, not waiting to the very last minute, there will be a 1 month period of time where nothing happens. Okay? That's going to allow the telephone companies to get things ready. So starting August 30th, and moving on, there's going to be a 6-month period of time where the telecommunications providers will make the necessary translations, and they and the commission will start to engage in public service announcements and educational efforts. At the end of that 6-month period of time, you will have permissive 10-digit dialing within the 502 area code. Meaning that if what you normally dial is a 7-digit number, you can dial 7-digit, or you can dial 10-digit. It's still going to be routed the same way. It's still going to be a local call. That's one of the things that I got asked the other day. If it's a 10-digit dialing, is it still a local call within? If it will still be a local call, not rated as a long distance call. And the answer is it will still. If it was a local call before, it's going to be a local call after. So, and then after that 6 months of permissive dialing, the next 6 months we'll have the implementation. At the end of that 6-month period, you will have mandatory 10-digit dialing. No longer, if you try to make a 7-digit call, you will get that little weird beeping sound. And then once 502 numbers are exhausted, that new area code will start to be applied to new phone numbers. So you're looking at roughly a 13-month period. If the commission were to order the geographic split, the timeline provided is a 15-month timeline for that. And here's my contact information, 502-782-2587 and jev.pinney@ky.gov. So now I have an opportunity for you to come up and make a public comment on the record if you like, or I can simply answer any questions that you might have about this process. I said this is the last meeting. After this, the commission is going to take everything under advisement, make its decision, start drafting its order, and to get it out. So are there any questions?
One of other meetings suggested you do.
I would, all the written comments in all but one comment at the public meetings has been in favor of option number 1, the overlay. Yes?
Now, just one clarification, I thought you said, is that what NAMPA had actually recommended?
Yeah, option number 1, the overlay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and that is primarily because everybody learned that they get to keep the phone number they have, or the area code they have. And there was one fella, and when we had the public meeting in Louisville that wanted the geographic split, he wanted to retain 7-digit dialing, but he only wanted the geographic split if he was on the winning side of the option. He wanted to keep his 502. So, but that's the only one. After that, we haven't had a lot of turnout, but the turnout we've had has all been, except for that one comment, in favor of the overlay, including we had in Bardstown, we had a state senator, a state rep, and a county judge exec all strongly in favor of the overlay.
Well, could you go back to the maps and you had,
This is the beginning of the maps. Which one would you like?
yeah, that one. Now that's what's current.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I can't see.
You can have a seat there in the chair if you want
Yeah,
to.
absolutely. Just sit right there.
Sit right there. You
Keep us-
can sit right here if it makes it easier.
Okay, yeah, Yeah, I don't see very well. Okay, and this is the map for option number one.
Well,
No,
with option number one, this map would not change. This is the only, option one is the only one where this map would not change.
okay. And option one is the overlay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Could you explain it once again, please?
Sure, I think you came in a little bit after I started talking
Okay.
about it. So, the idea of the overlay
Mhm,
is that because there's a finite amount of numbers for 502,
mhm,
once all the 502 numbers have been assigned,
mhm.
the next telephone company that comes to the NAMPA and says, we need an assignment of phone numbers, so they can assign it to their customers, will get phone numbers that begin with a new area code.
Hmm,
It won't be 502.
okay.
And so then, you're still within the same geographic area,
Mhm,
but then these people within here, once they're new, once they're getting new phone numbers, will get ones that do not begin with 502,
mhm,
and will begin with the new area code.
mhm.
So so if you have 502, you keep it, but you will have to have mandatory 10-digit dialing to complete a phone call,
Even for local calls?
even for local calls.
Ah, okay. Okay, it's confusing.
That's okay, well, then there'll be a lot of public education regarding
Yeah,
whatever
I know.
condition, whatever decision.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I think I understand it now.
Mhm.
But you said these meetings have been lightly attended, but this was not, I don't know, I read about it in the Courier Journal several days ago. As far as I know, this meeting was not advertised in local media, like the newspaper, TV, cable 10, anything.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, it was not advertised in Frankfort.
I guess
Which
it's
is
kind of no
too
man's.
bad. I mean, it's the capital city, you would expect people to,
Well, I know that it was carried, the news before and after were carried on both the Lexington and Louisville television stations.
Oh.
That's how, I think some people in Carrollton learned about it,
oh,
and in their local paper. So, in Bardstown, I think there was the local news, and as well as Georgetown and Louisville.
Oh,
I was gonna say, I'm from Georgetown, our local folks had it, and plus our legislators actually.
Now, one of your representatives was there.
No problem.
okay.
Assume we have 1,000 area codes across the nation, possibly, right? How many of those are used up?
Well, I don't know, that's the NAMPA, but certain area codes just aren't used. Anything it ends in 11 is not assigned as an area code.
Okay.
So that takes a bunch off, 888 and some of the other consecutive ones. I think 899 might be like a national suicide hotline now. I mean, so some of them are taken off of it, and I don't know if any of them begin with 0 right now. I still think that we're going to be okay for the time being with the area code assignments. The NAMPA will look at it and decide, if the commission goes with well, I guess the only option here that doesn't require new area code will be if you merge 502 with the 270. But in the other scenarios, the NAMPA will look at the available phone numbers, available area codes, and assign it. And I think you might be able to go on the website of the North American Numbering Plan Administrator, and they should have a list of available area codes. I'm trying to think, I left the copy of the application up in my office, and I apologize. I don't think it had a list of how many, what numbers were available, or how many were available for that. But I don't think we're in danger of exhausting any area codes.
Probably not, but just curious to know where we stand with everybody, even kids now having a cell phone in their pocket. It seems like we're using them up pretty quickly, so I didn't know what the large picture was.
Well, and I think some devices, not just phones, all have a unique phone number. Some smartwatches will. A lot of people's cars have a unique phone number with it, so that if they have onboard Wi-Fi, or they can talk through, OnStar, or do some of those sorts of things. So more and more devices are getting a unique telephone too, so it's not just the kids getting, I think the other day I was in a meeting, like when a kid's 12, they get their smartphone, but it's probably earlier than that now. But, and so there, you know, it's something that is monitored. That's why the NAMPA's, I mean, quarterly the NAMPA releases to the commission, state commissions, projected exhaust dates of all the area codes. So you can look and you see, and then every once in a while you'll see that all of a sudden shrink down. And then the next quarter it'll bounce back up, you know, because, you know, maybe a call center came in or a new hospital came in and they want consecutive numbers. So they'll take an entire block of 1,000 and that shakes it down, but then maybe they'll send some of those numbers back. And it moves it back up. So, I wish I had answered that. I wish you'd been at the first meeting, because then I'd have that answer for the rest of the meetings. But I apologize for that, not knowing.
So is this the option that demands that people change, what, their business cards, or just, it takes away the 7-digit dialing?
It would take away 7-digit dialing and then new businesses, or new
New
phone numbers.
businesses.
New phone numbers assigned to businesses. Once the
Okay.
502 is out, would have a different area code in front of it. So, I mean, that was the problem with the geographic splits back in the day, when you would take an area code and split it, and this
Yeah.
part, one part keeps the new one gets the new one keeps the old one, is that businesses on the new one would have to change everything.
Oh.
Right, all their stationery and advertising and business cards, and in fact, I mean, everything would have to change. And I think, you know, now with the advent of mobile telephones, that the overlay is a much easier option to implement versus the geographic split. Because, you know, your cell phone doesn't really necessarily recognize, you know, a specific geographic location.
Yeah, okay. So if we want to call, you know, friends or businesses that are local and we're not using the area code, we'd still not use the area code.
Not in option one, you would have to use the area
Oh,
code.
like calling, you know, well, friends or businesses or,
If you wanted, so if you're a Frankfort resident, for the
Uh-huh.
sake of argument, and you wanted to call the Public Service Commission, right now it's just 564-3940.
right.
But with mandatory 10-digit dialing, which all but one of the options would require, you would have to dial 502-564-3940
Yeah.
to complete the call. It would still be charged as a local call.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Now, that's good. And that would apply to like state government and,
Mm-hmm.
huh.
Yes.
Okay.
Is calling 364 from 502 local?
You mean the 270-364 from the 502, or?
Dialing the new area code within the same geographic area,
It should be,
still a local call.
yes, if it's if the new area code, if it was a local call before, geographically,
Yeah,
it'll be a local call after. Because what makes something a long-distance call, it wasn't always related to the fact it was in a different area code. You would have, I mean, depending on how many zones and what boundaries it would cross, something called,
yeah.
I'm looking at Tyler Lattice, but it's like a local access transit area. You could have this line within an area code, and if your phone call crossed that boundary, it was an interstate intra-LATA long-distance phone call. You know, and that's the thing, with cell phones, you've gotten away from it. There's really there's no rating.
So when there's a new business or a new family moved into, say, Franklin County, they would get a new area code, and when we call them, we'd have to use the new area code.
Yes.
Well, if they called us, would they have to use 502? Okay.
Yeah.
So this effectively does away with 7-digit calling.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
All but the geographic split would require 10-digit dialing to complete a phone call. Get rid of your 7-digit dialing.
Okay.
And I know people used to remember how to dial a phone number because it made it the shape of a Christmas tree. And you have to add in 3 more,
Oh.
digits, I know. I
Yeah.
know.
Okay. Huh, interesting. Huh. Okay. Hmm. And have they done that in other states?
Have done what, the
Oh.
overlay?
Done an overlay? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Almost all states have been implementing overlays. The last time they split the
Yeah.
territory was 18 years ago.
Huh,
That was the last time in the United States there's been a geographic split of an area code. Since then, to the best of my knowledge, it's either been an overlay or maybe even kind of limiting boundaries between it. But I think the overlay
mm-hmm,
over the existing territory is the preferred method.
yeah.
Now, there were some that didn't even make it into this application where they would carve off portions of the 502, like here. You know, like Georgetown might become part of the 859, and down here, Bardstown would become part of the 270, just to preserve those 502 numbers. Nobody wanted an option, so it wasn't even presented as an option in the application. So I'm not to say that, I'm without knowledge to say that that hasn't been something that's been implemented in other states, but it's not on the table here. So, that's all services overlay of the existing geographic area is the preferred option, I think, nationwide. And I'm unaware of other states implementing anything but that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What do you need from us tonight?
Nothing,
Vote
just,
or just?
no, we're here to answer questions.
Yeah,
And if you want to say what you're in favor of, that way
please,
We-
it'll be on the record.
it'll be on the record, and we can say, with a straight face, when the commission drafts the order, that the majority of public comments were in favor of X. So, I mean, if you have an opinion, you don't have to. You don't have to say anything you don't want.
I'm in favor of an overlay.
All right, the all services overlay, I appreciate that. I mean, there's gonna be a change no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Numbers are finite when it comes to this.
Well, I'm old, I have to get used to changes.
That's okay, you don't have to have an opinion either.
Gosh. Well,
Oh.
oh.
Mr. Kimmel, do you have anything to say?
I know, my members will do whatever you all tell them to do, so.
That is a first, I'm just kidding.
I'm just here to listen.
Okay, yeah. Did I say anything that was inaccurate?
No.
Okay, that's what I needed to know.
Huh.
All right. So are there any other questions, anything else you want me to talk about tonight? I'll be happy to answer your questions. If not otherwise, I think I'll go talk to our, yes ma'am?
Yeah, it sounds like the first option would be the easiest one.
According to the industry and the commission's experience by doing the overlay in the 270364
Mm-hmm.
area code, it's the least disruptive.
Hmm.
I mean, back when the commission had to tackle geographic splits, people's blood really got up.
Oh, yeah.
People really wanted to keep their 606.
Mm-hmm.
People really wanted to keep their 502. And it's hardly an issue right now. And so it does seem to be the least disruptive for consumers and the telecommunications industry.
It seems I remember something, but maybe it was silly. Back when 859 came into being, what does those three numbers, that spell UKY or cats or?
They spell UKY.
UKY, would the new area code have any?
We don't know.
If it's available.
Like for example, the area code for Cape Canaveral, the Kennedy Space Center, is 321. And I think some other ones, new area codes have been assigned, like I think maybe for like Boulder, Colorado is BOL, or some of those things. I made a joke to the Nampa people, they're very serious people. I guess when you deal with numbers, they're very serious. I said, my name is Jeb. I'm like, well, maybe you could just say J-E-B. I was joking, I really was. And about an hour and a half later, the woman from the Nampa called me and she's like, I'm sorry to tell you, but Jeb's not available as an area code. And I just want to say, I was joking. And also I realized that Jeb spells out, it's like 532, and it's probably be too confusing for a 502 anyway. But there's a list of available area codes out there somewhere. And so, 532 apparently didn't meet their criteria. So,
If it spelled something cool, I bet people would be a little easier going on.
and the Nampa's not without a sense of humor. So like I said, UKY and the 859-321 in Cape Canaveral, and I think there's other instances that people have mentioned in other areas. So we'll keep our fingers crossed if we do the overlay on that. Are there any other questions or comments?
No, I don't have any.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate you coming out and asking me questions and voicing your opinion on this. So, thank you all.
Okay, well, thank you.